Okay everybody, today I'm going to be doing a review, and I'm going to be doing a review on the Iron Neck. Now before we get started, for transparency's sake, I will say that Iron Neck were kind enough to send me this for free. They sent this to me to review, but irrespective of that, I intend to be completely unbiased and give my genuine opinion about the product. With that being said, first things first, what is the Iron Neck? Well, as the name does suggest, it is a neck training device. It is a very unique neck training device. It's a very popular neck training device. You may have heard of it before. It is aimed at sort of anyone who is looking to train their neck, but very heavily focused or very heavily used by combat sports athletes. All athletes, or many different types of athletes, can benefit from training their neck, but really no one as much as combat sports athletes. Very few sports where you're having your neck attacked in quite the way that either strikers, MMA or grapplers, from a striking perspective, is being hit in the head and your neck being twisted. They say a strong neck can equal more resilience when you're being struck to being knocked out and stuff like that. From wrestling and grappling, falling on your head, hitting your head, having it twisted, having it choked, all of that stuff. Having a strong, resilient neck is a very important thing to have. But also from other perspectives, as a rehabilitation tool, it is very good. I will talk about that later. But even from someone who isn't a high-level combat sports athlete or even an athlete at all, it's 2020, we're living in a modern age where a lot of people are looking down at their phones all day, or they're sitting behind a computer all day, and people get a lot of neck issues and back problems because of their posture, and doing some sort of accessory neck training just to recorrect some of those things, another thing that this is aimed towards and can be very helpful with. So that being said, anyway, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set it up, and I'm going to show you how this works and the sort of movements and exercises that you can do with it. So I have the Iron Neck set up. It is strapped to my head. It may not be the most attractive piece of exercise equipment, but it is what it is. I'm just going to show you some of the basic exercises that Ironmind themselves recommend with the tool. So first one is, I just have the band connected to my power rack and connected to the Iron Neck here, and the exercise that they recommend, just a couple of them, is one 360-degree turn here. And obviously you can go both directions. The other one is just looking left and right. And then you have same thing, but instead this time your head's going to stay in line with your body and your whole body's going to move. Then you can do a diagonal, so I'm going to go bottom here to looking up. And the other side. And a figure of 8, so down, up, down, up. And then finally something a little bit different, which is protraction and retraction of the neck. So trying to keep everything else nice and still, bringing the neck back and bringing it forward, back and forward. So now you've seen some of the exercises that you can use the Iron Neck for. Obviously, like any tool, there's a lot of other stuff that you can do with it. These are just some of the simplest exercises that the Iron Neck recommends starting out with. Now we've seen the exercises, I just want to talk about the actual product for a second, just kind of show you around it. It is a very engineered piece of equipment, you know. The Iron Neck is solving a problem that is very difficult to otherwise solve. It trains the neck in a very different way than traditional neck training would train the neck. Traditional neck training, head harness, or holding the weight with a towel or something in the teeth, or even lying off on the side of a bench and doing, all of these things all do the up and down, that flexion extension in the neck movement, whereas the Iron Neck does not do that. It does actually, you cannot do up and down with the Iron Neck. Instead, it works the neck a lot more isometrically. So because of the way that it's built and the way that it's designed, wherever you're turning, wherever you're going, you're always getting pressure pulled in the same direction wherever the direction is that you're anchored onto, where you've got that resistance band. So for that reason, it does train your neck in a very different way that is quite hard to do without this implement. There aren't very many ways to do this. I've done I've tried to hit a similar sort of training style. I do other neck stuff, but if I want to train that sort of isometric, I'll have someone push or someone pull on one side of my neck or put a band on, but I can't rotate as I'm doing those things. So I'd have to have someone to push here and resist, stop, do it from another direction, stop. Whereas with this and the slider that you have, you can do this from all angles around the head wherever you're going. So it is a unique product to sort of solve a very unique problem. So the different components that you do have this bit that's going to go on the top here. You have the bit to the front. At the front there are, and they come with different inserts, which we'll have a look in a second. But it comes with a foam insert with a Velcro backing. So there's different sizes of foam inserts for the front of the head. So if you have a big head, you use a small one, like I do. And if you have a small head, then you can use a big one. And that just gives you big incremental changes. But because of the way that you exercise with this, you do want it to be quite snug. So as well as those big increment changes with the foam pads, you also have quite a clever tightening system for the much smaller to make sure it's nice and snug, which is this back bit here is actually inflatable. You can't even really see it if you look at this, but there's a exposed bit of rubber down here, and what that actually is it's actually a pump. I'm not sure if you can hear that. But that actually pumps up this back pad here. So once you've got it on your head and it's relatively the right size, you can pump it up and get a very, very snug, very tight fit, which is what you want when you're doing all of these different movements. And then this button just above, you're gonna press that, and if you can hear it, the air is gonna come out and it's gonna reset it. So very, very clever. Obviously the main bit about this is the slider. This is where you're gonna attach your band onto. This is your anchor point, and it basically runs on a rail around the outside of the iron neck. So that's why it is quite big, it is quite chunky, but that is the reason. It needs to go on the head, it needs to be secure, and then this needs to be able to run around the outside. With this model, and it is different for the other models, but I'll talk about that in a second, with this model you do have the ability to change the resistance of this moving around. So right now it's on 0 resistance. If I just hold it here and drop, you're going to see how freely that slides around, and I can tighten this up by turning this wheel here, and now it's not moving quite as fast, and I can tighten it a bit more, and now it's actually quite stiff, and you can actually tighten it all the way to you're not going to actually be able to move this at all, especially when you're wearing it and you've got a resistance band attached onto it. So you do have the ability to adjust the resistance with the Pro model, which is what I have here. You do have the ability to adjust the resistance, so that is, as you're turning your head, you're going to get more resistance whilst you're doing that. I'm going to now show you everything else that comes in the bag with the iron neck. So what else comes in the bag with the iron neck? Firstly, you have the resistance band. This is what is going to anchor on. You've got these two carabiners. One is going to go onto the front, onto the slider of the iron neck, onto the actual head piece, and then the other piece is going to connect onto whatever you're anchoring onto. It's quite nice. It's a well-made resistance band. You also have two more. So I've got that one in here. I'll just put this off. You have 3 different thicknesses of foam with the Velcro on the back. And this goes into the front of the iron neck, and these are going to be your big adjustments, your macro adjustments, before you make those micro adjustments with the pump that's included on that back piece of the headpiece. Then you have your anchoring points, so something to connect the other side of the carabiner, the other side of the resistance band onto, which is going to actually give you the resistance. So this is the most simple one. This is the one that I use on my power rack, and all it is a bit of webbing with a metal thing on. If you imagine my arm is a vertical pole here, there you go. You just wrap it around and you have your anchor point. If you don't have a power rack or any vertical pole, then they've also included a door anchor. So this is if you either don't have anything else to connect it onto, or if you're taking your iron neck on the go. Most places that you're going to be in are going to have a door. You just and all this is, it's just webbing, and there's a ball inside this webbing here, and then your anchor point is there. Open the door, you slide this through, close the door, that's not going to move, and you can anchor on. And with the same sort of idea, this is their door belt, so this is much bigger. This is going to go around the whole door here, and now you have 3 anchor points. So this could be, you have 3 different resistance bands on there, or you have multiple people using it from the same point. So this is another option as well. And then finally, you have the Iron Mind. I want to say it's a beanie. It's not quite normal beanie material. It's quite thin but quite comfortable. And this is just an extra option if you don't want to have the contact between the head harness and your head. If you don't want to mess up your pretty hair or you find it uncomfortable or any other reason, you can chuck this on and then you put the Iron Neck over the top of this. And just for some people, I don't bother using it, but it's a nice thing to include there. So you get quite a lot of stuff with the product itself. Very quickly, I'm going to talk about the differences between the three models. The basic differences, so this is the Pro model. You have a Varsity model and you have a Starter model or bundle, whatever you want to call it. I believe all of the extras that you get with all three bundles are actually the same, and it is the Iron Mind, the Iron Neck, sorry, Iron Mind's very different, Iron Neck head harness device that is actually different. And the difference between all three is only to do with the slider. So it's not to do with any of the other parts of the Iron Neck, it's only to do with the slider. And with the Pro model, you have the slider with the variable resistance from no resistance whatsoever to having it incredibly tight. With the Varsity model, it is a set resistance at about 20% of the maximum resistance that you can get with the Pro model. So it's not gonna fall like that. I imagine it's gonna be something a bit more like, probably like this. Kind of light, but it's not gonna fall. And you don't have the ability to adjust that. Then the Starter Iron Neck is gonna be, there is again no ability to adjust and there's no resistance whatsoever. So again, it's just free falling there. So those are the three different models. 1, no resistance, non-adjustable. 2 is 20% resistance or a little bit of resistance, non-adjustable. And then 3 is fully adjustable from no resistance to no movement whatsoever. So those are the three different types. So you're probably wondering, is there anything negative to say? Do I have any bad words about the Iron Neck? And not really that many. I do have to say, when it comes to build quality, what I'm usually expecting in a piece of training equipment, as you probably see, a lot of heavy metal, solid stuff. You don't get that feel from the Iron Neck. It is fully made of plastic, but then when you actually think about it, it's the only way that they could really do this. If you made this out of metal, it's going to be so heavy, it's going to be impractical. So even though it does have a plasticky feel, it is realistically the only way they could have done this, so I'm not really going to hold that against them. You know, the one thing that I would say, the one problem that I found with all of the stuff, the only problem is a little bit of quality control issues with the foam pads. I'm not sure if you can see here, but the foam pads, the Velcro on the back is raised a little bit. And essentially what's happened is they've got foam pads cut and they've put a Velcro on with a sticker, and they just haven't put the sticker on very well. So it's kind of raised here. For the price, it's not a cheap bit of kit. For the price, you do expect that to be perfect. So a little bit of quality control issues. It's a very small detail, but I did say that I was going to be honest. Just the one thing that I would say is just make sure that you're spot on with this, because you do expect at this price range for that to be perfect. And I guess the only other negative that you could say about the Iron Neck is indeed the price. It is not a cheap bit of kit. The Pro model, I believe it's on a sale at the moment, but when I was sent this, if I had paid for it myself, this would have been $600. Me being in the UK, I would also incur, or I did incur, a customs import charge of over $200. So had Iron Neck not been kind enough to send this to me, it would have cost me over $800 to have this delivered to my hand. So that is a lot of money for any bit of training equipment. However, the Varsity and the Starter bundles do come at a significantly reduced price. I'm not sure exactly what the Varsity costs, but I do know that the Starter bundle is half of what this is. So it is $300 usually, opposed to $600 for the Pro model, and I think it's been reduced at the moment to $250. So there is a big difference between the price points of the Pro model and the entry-level model, the Starter bundle. So yeah, you know, and I guess at that point it comes to, what is my conclusion? What do I think of the Iron Neck? Would I recommend people to get the Iron Neck? I think it does come, you know, the price is a big factor here, and a lot of people will be wanting to train with it if they've heard of it, and it is, and it does cost a lot. I wouldn't expect many individuals, people who are going to be training at home or have a home gym like I do, to be going out and purchasing the $600 Pro bundle. But then that's kind of what it says on the label. It is the Pro bundle. What I expect from this model is to be popping up, or where it would be really useful to be popping up, is in gyms, in strength and conditioning gyms, or in MMA gyms, jiu-jitsu gyms, places where lots of people are going to be taking advantage of this tool. If you have this in a gym of yours, if you own a gym, you train combat sports athletes or any athletes, having one of these are going to be a huge benefit to the gym as a whole, because it allows you to train your neck in a way that is very, very hard to replicate any other way. So if you're a physio, or if you're a sports therapist or a physical therapist, anything to do with people recovering from injuries to do with the neck, a very useful bit of rehabilitation equipment. As for individuals, the starter bundle is half the price. So if you are thinking about an umming and ahhing, you know, the only difference is just the ability to vary the resistance of the slider. Personally, I don't think that is that big of a deal. I think that for, you know, really for me, the benefit of the exercises comes from the resistance of the band. It's having that constant tension, regardless of where your head is, that constant tension in one direction, and that's sort of irrelevant about how much tension is going through there. So if you're really umming and ahhing and thinking about, oh, I'd love to get an iron neck, but I don't want to spend $600, buy the cheaper model, because there isn't a huge difference. I think, you know, but there is a big difference in price, so it is half the price. So yeah, that's the main thing really. In terms of training with it, for me, you know, I like it. I'm gonna use it in my training. You know, I do have to say, you cannot get a full neck workout with just the iron neck. It does train something that's almost impossible to train without it, but it also doesn't allow you to train other ranges of motion. It does not allow you to train that traditional up and down flexion extension in the neck that you would get from neck bridges or head harness and stuff like that. So even though I'll continue to train with this, I will be implementing other kinds of neck training into my workouts as well. I think what this is very, very good for as well, another really important aspect of this, which I haven't mentioned, is it is incredibly safe. And that is a big thing, especially when you're training with the neck. You know, people do say heavy head harness work can affect the neck, the joints and the bones in the neck sometimes. Some people say that can be negatively affected by doing heavy flexion extension here, doing neck bridges. Yeah, if you've been wrestling since you were 4 years old and running around your neck since you were 4 years old, then yeah, you're going to be used to it. But you see people starting to do that sort of stuff when they're in their early 40s. You start doing, and you're a bit heavier, you start doing neck bridges and moving around on your neck, you're probably going to do yourself a little bit of damage. The beauty really of the iron neck is that it's going to be almost impossible to injure yourself. Very, very difficult to overdo it with this, and you're not really going to cause yourself any bad damage. Almost like it's like the swimming of neck training. Swimming, you're very, very unlikely to injure yourself doing swimming, and you're also very unlikely to injure yourself training with the iron neck. So that is a very, very big plus with it. So yeah, I think that's pretty much everything that I have to say about it. It is a very nice, very well designed. You can just tell a lot of thought has gone into these. I've seen a lot of people, combat sport athletes and regular people. I have a very good friend of mine who bought, I was saying that not many individuals would buy the Pro model, but he brought it over from America to the UK, and he swears by it. He's a guy who's had a lot of neck problems, and he used this to rehabilitate and strengthen his neck, and he loves it. So, so yeah, very, very well thought out bit of kit, a very nice bit of kit. I'm very appreciative to Iron Neck for sending this over for me to do the review. It will be part of my training. I'll be doing some funky stuff with it. Hopefully this review has helped you and is informative, and you enjoyed it. That's what I have to say. And if you want me to do more reviews, let me know and I'll do more reviews. But thank you very much for listening, and I will catch you next time.